Hello again. It's nice to be back. I spoke with you at the first day, and as we move along, it's fun to speak with you again as we think about things differently. So I'm Marsha Sharp, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Dietitians of Canada, so I'm wearing a different hat today than I was wearing when I spoke about the International Confederation of Dietetic Associations. And I am speaking about international networking, but I'm going to try and spend most of my time speaking about that from the point of view of a national dietetic association, such as the one that you're forming. And I know that in this presentation you'll hear a number of things you've already heard in the last few days. But there's one important principle to remember as you begin to communicate in our field with your partners, clients, whomever, is that to get your message across is 7 times in 7 ways. So if this is the 7th time, then our message is across. But there's overlapping perspectives and overlapping experiences and subjects. So we're reinforcing those important principles and thoughts about connecting with others and how you can move forward with your goals and plans. So my take on this is international networking. So I'm going to cover this looking at 3 perspectives. First is why? Why bother? Is this important? Should I really spend my time on this? What difference does it make? And then what is it? And when I say what is it, I mean how is it done, or what's the best way to do it? What does it really mean to network? So I'll go into that. And then thirdly, I'd like to touch on how to network internationally. And I'll use my own organization as an example when I speak to you, and you'll see how I'm going to do that. And hopefully we'll end with the beginning in mind, in that we will have established some common ground and maybe something that interests you that you'd like to follow up with me in the future, and we will start networking, because me just speaking to you is not networking. We recognize that difference. So we certainly look forward to getting to know you, and I'm expressing that on behalf of the members of Dietitians of Canada. So I come here with that open mind and perspective, and hope that we'll be able to develop that relationship. And I like this quote. I mean, it sounds a little competitive, but you know what? We need to be brave, we need to be strong, and we need to recognize that when all else is equal, the one who makes the best connections wins. So that really is saying that the connections you make can be very important. It's not the number you make, it's the quality, and it's the people involved and the quality of those connections that strengthen you and your goals and plans. The purpose of networking is to build lasting relationships based on shared interests. Okay? And your long-term plan and your goal will determine the benefits that you get from establishing long-term, mutually beneficial relationships. So it's not about what can I get, it's not about what you can, well, in a way it is about what you can do for me, but it's through building relationships in the networking phase you create the groundwork for future opportunities, such as the collaboration, the connections that Karen was just speaking about. Networking is to get to know someone new, to share ideas, share thoughts. And there are a number of motivations or reasons that one might network. So there are personal reasons, for example, striving for personal enrichment by getting to know colleagues in other countries, to learn something new, or just to do something different, to break out of your usual pattern. That can enrich your day, enrich your personal life. There are political reasons, and I think we've touched on those, and really you can use networking to lobby or create the circumstances from which you can lobby for certain outcomes, such as to promote a profession that has been neglected by policymakers or the public at large. And I wonder if that's relevant here. I think I heard it's a little bit relevant here for this point in time. So that can be a reason for establishing networking, meaningful relationships with politicians and people in the political system. There are professional reasons to improve your own competencies, to do a better job. So you can learn from others and get new ideas. And by being involved in a network, you can get a broader or richer set of ideas and so on. And there are institutional reasons, and that can be to raise the profile of an association with government, perhaps European level agencies, and perhaps international organizations. And you've touched on all those ideas this week. The long-term benefits that can come from networking are varied, and some of them include bringing together practitioners to share different perspectives, different approaches, and to learn from each other. To get better known yourself, to boost your profile and your reputation, so to get known better by others, either as an individual or an association. You're building your social capital, making those important ties that can eventually lead to greater influence and so on for you as an individual or an organization. Those are benefits. You can identify others who can help you or your association in the future. And you can fill in for resources or the support that might be missing in your own workplace or in your own association. And Karen's touched on those ideas. So these are the benefits of, that can eventually come out of the first steps, which are networking and getting to know someone new. So again, networking is about making genuine connections. And I think this quote from Samuel Johnson really sets the stage of thinking, the stage for thinking about networking, where he says, the true measure of a man is how he treats someone who can do him absolutely no good. So we think about that. So the art of networking and who's best at it. To be the best at it, you approach networking from the point of view of give to give. Do not expect anything in return. At this stage, you're just building meaningful relationships. Work to understand the other person first, and then for them to understand you. Develop and use great listening skills, which means feel what the other person is saying. Don't just hear their words. Understand what they're saying, so listen carefully. Good interpersonal skills. Be communicative, approachable, open-minded. Don't bring prejudices to your conversation. So that those skills are necessary. Understand that building a meaningful relationship takes time. And then build trust by what you do and how you act. So walk the talk is the way we say that succinctly. Follow up on those things that are important to the other person's goals and plans. So again, focus on the other person to build that mutually beneficial relationship. And don't spend your time telling others what to do and how to do it. That's not networking. So when you're getting to know someone new, you should approach that with your own specific plan or goal in mind. It is specific to you and the purposes for your networking, and it takes many forms. So there's no simple how to network. But it always begins with getting to know someone new. So we're going to work through this for the next few moments. You invited me to your event as a representative of Dietitians of Canada. So I assume you want to get to know Dietitians of Canada so that we can build a mutually beneficial and long-standing relationship. I hope that assumption's true. So in order to do that, I'm going to tell you about Dietitians of Canada, not everything about Dietitians of Canada, but I'm going to tell you some things about the association where I work in relation to the topics that you've been discussing at this conference, so you'll know us better. So the association was established in 1936, and in our country, and I assume in yours as well, that when you establish a not-for-profit association, the members are the owners of the association. So you always think of the members as the owners. They make the important decisions. It's there for them. We have just over 6,000 members, and they are dietitians and dietetic students as well. Our membership is totally voluntary, so members pay a fee to join and to participate. They are not required to be members because we are not a registration body. We don't carry the authority to give the license or whatever. This is for the members and for their professional interests. So our purpose is to promote dietitians as leaders in advancing health through food and nutrition, and we are the voice of the profession in Canada. We exist for our members, but we recognize that what we do, there are many beneficiaries, others who benefit from the work that we do. So these are a couple of examples. Our association, Dietitians of Canada, accredits dietetics education programs in Canada. So we review them and we approve them. And those who benefit include the public, we believe, by the quality of dietetic education programs. So there are benefits for the public. Students benefit. Universities benefit from this accreditation that we status that we provide. And at the same time, we're serving our members by ensuring that education standards advance the profession to meet the changing needs of society. This helps keep our profession relevant. So you see the connection. By serving members, we serve others to serve our members particularly well. Another example is we do provide public education, public service from our association, and the public benefits as they gain knowledge and so on. And through this, we are serving our members also by building stronger relationships between the public and the profession, and this creates opportunities for dietitians. In my country, dietitians must be registered with a dietetics regulatory body, which is established by each provincial government and under legislation that is established to protect the public, not to protect the profession. Each regulatory body provides the license to practice dietetics, and they control the use of the professional title and designation. And you were talking about that yesterday. So in our country, in different provinces, excuse me, the designation might be, or is, registered dietitian, or in French, diététicien professionnel, or it's also a registered dietitian nutritionist. So we've protected all three in the country. In practice, we use registered dietitian and the French equivalent. As I said, we accredit the university and practicum education programs in Canada. There are 17 university programs offering the 4-year baccalaureate degree in dietetics. Some call it the baccalaureate degree in food and nutrition. And the undergraduate programs are comprehensive. We do not specialize at the undergraduate level. Our programs may be longer than 4 years to include the practicum education component, something you were talking about. And in our country, that's 40 weeks of practicum education or more. It can go up to a year. And it may be a requirement of the degree. And other university programs do not include the practicum. So we also have practicum education programs that follow or are integrated or taken at the same time as an undergraduate degree or a master's degree, or they can be entirely separate. And they provide experiences. All of our practicum programs provide experiences in many settings in order to prepare dietitians to meet many needs in society. Sorry. It's dry. Our association recognized in the late 1980s that for the profession to have and generate its own body of knowledge was essential, and that we weren't really doing that. We were relying on everyone else to produce the body of knowledge that we were using within our profession. And by definition, a profession is responsible for its own body of knowledge. Therefore, we established the Canadian Foundation for Dietetic Research. And we did that in 1991. We provided funding, and then we also provided the effort to get the foundation up and running. And the Canadian Foundation for Dietetic Research does two things. It raises money, and it awards grants for applied nutrition and dietetics research. So it has a very specific focus, and we work hard to keep that focus. We have provided over $1 million for research projects, and every research team includes a dietitian, not necessarily only dietitians. And grants are provided on a basis of a competitive grant process. So through this foundation, we are funding research that increases our body of knowledge, and we're also building capacity for practice-based dietetic research in our country. So dietitians in society, in Canadian society, we fill many roles in our society. So what is it that dietitians do? Well, first of all, the job title and the professional credential are not the same. So we heard some discussion about those matters at your meeting, where you were saying what should the degree be, what should the profession be, etc. They're not all the same. So in the workplace, you've heard that our professional credential is registered dietitian, or the French equivalent. In the workplace, our job titles can be a variety, such as clinical nutritionist, clinical dietitian, community nutritionist, public health nutritionist, community dietitian, food service director, food service manager, corporate nutritionist, senior vice president, nutrition business, director of regulatory affairs. Dietitians have a lot of different work titles, although they have the same credential. And dietitians work in many sectors of our economy. They work in healthcare and health promotion, both the publicly funded health system and the private sector, providing employee health, working in the recreation areas, etc. They work in government, they work in the agri-food business and industry, grocery retail. They work in the education system, in academia and research, in the hospitality industry. They work in communications and media, including working with and therefore part of information technology, using that a lot in education, and more. But it gives you an idea of the very broad nature of practice in our country. And we provide many functions in these sectors as health educators, clinicians, counselors, policy planners, program planners, researchers, evaluators, consultants, in new product development, in regulatory compliance for marketing and advertising, managers, food service, health services, programs, etc. So our common ground is our credential, and really our knowledge base, our ethics and values about professional practice. So we have a very diverse, expansive role in our society. The opportunities for dietitians in Canada: jobs are in reasonable supply. New graduates can be fairly certain in short order they will find a position in dietetics. And the opportunities are expanding as our government, and this is the key driver, focus on controlling the costs of chronic disease, and you heard about that. And they see that as the means to sustain or protect our publicly funded health system. That's an important value in Canadian society, is the publicly funded health system, and politicians must do things to protect it if they want to be re-elected. So there is considerable focus on chronic disease prevention, and to some extent also, therefore, chronic disease management and all of the spin-off effects of and costs of chronic disease. So each and every government has drawn the connection between healthy eating and the prevention and control of chronic disease, and this is good for us. Each and every government is taking action to change food environments to support healthy eating, and this is good for us in two ways. Because as governments introduce new policies, programs, and legislation, public awareness about healthy eating is increasing, and it's certainly creating more demand for dietitians to help communities, organizations, companies, and whole industries adapt to new regulations and rising public expectations for healthier products and healthier food environments. One emerging trend that we see in our country, and Karen just spoke about it, is in grocery retail sector. And I just like to give it its largest context, and we have met with the leaders in this sector, and what they're expressing organization by organization, is that they have a vision that food stores will be the community health centers of the future. And that says to us, are we prepared to be working? How are we preparing members to be working in those environments? Many members have been doing things like grocery store tours and so on, but this is fundamentally different. That environment, that sector sees itself as being the resource to the community on food and nutrition, and they're prepared to bring the dietitian, to bring the profession in, to educate their huge staff, their huge infrastructure, provide it with data that's needed to be responsive and responsible and evidence-based in the information that they're going to be giving out to the public about how to buy food, how to use food to deal with particular health problems, etc. It's quite a vision, and if it happens, we don't have nearly enough dietitians to fill the jobs. So education is going to have to pick up the pace, and that's a whole other issue. But that's definitely on the horizon, and it is seen as a competitive matter at this point, but it's going to become, if their vision is correct, the norm. So this could be interesting for our profession. Another area where our profession is expanding is in telehealth. It's an emerging opportunity, but it's where you're in a call center environment that's specific to health promotion and perhaps primary health care. So adding to the health teams that exist in the communities and so on, particularly supporting outreach into rural and remote areas where access to health professionals with a level of skill that is available in our profession is very limited. So this extends the reach of the profession into those areas. So those are some of the places that we see opportunities for dietitians growing. So one more bit about our association. We too have a strategic plan, and we're focused on goals and things that we want to accomplish. And these are established by the board of directors of the organization. We're in touch with members and the reality of their day. And I'm just going to touch on them briefly. Our first priority, and these are all stated as outcomes, these are not stated as activities. These would be translated into activities at the next stage, and have been, but just to share with you. So the outcome that the board of directors and members are looking for is expanded leadership and a heightened profile for the profession. That never goes away. So I've explained to you, have a fairly good profile and role and so on in society, but this is always a fundamental goal and objective of an association. So this means, in more detail, the profession is respected as a leading authority for application of food and nutrition science for the public's needs. The profession is valued for its skills, knowledge, professionalism, and ethical practice. Members are taking ownership for the leadership profile of the profession, and that's an important statement. It's not about the staff, it's not about what others are doing, it is about members taking ownership to represent the association as leaders in what they do every day and at what they do on behalf of colleagues as part of the association network. And one of the important aspects of this for us is that we're seen as a leader in efforts to enhance the stature and effectiveness of the profession globally. So as we interpret that, we're very active internationally with ICDA and in other ways. And so that's an expectation from members and as are stated by our board of directors. We have 3 more priorities, and I'm not going into the detail. I just wanted to give you an example of how we do that. But the 3 other areas are continue to grow the capacity in dietetics education, and I think you've maybe understood why. To be the most important resource for lifelong professional learning for our members. And you'll see we don't say the only. We know we're not the only. There's a lot of opportunities out there. We want to be the most important. We want our members to look to us to provide that leading edge, that evidence-based professional development. And we want to work on better access to dietitians for the public. So, you've listened to me. You asked me a question, who are we? You invited me here. You wanted to get to know my organization, I think. And so I've shared that with you. And you now know what's important to us, what we're working on, and I think that sets a foundation for a meaningful conversation between us in the future. So you'll have this. I know it's left behind, and when you'd like to network with Dietitians of Canada, I think you have a starting point if that's where you wish to go. And if we look a little bit more broadly, other national and international dietetic organizations can help your association as well. You can learn about them, and I talked about this before, on the ICDA website, and I'm giving to you again the URL to find that website, and by reading Dietetics Around the World. It comes out twice a year, and it's full of articles from other national dietetic associations about what's happening in those countries, in those associations. And you can learn more by visiting the websites, obviously, of the many national dietetic associations. They have their own websites, and you can join their social networks, their social media channels, to have some ongoing connection and follow up on ideas and things that you've talked about or connected around. And of course, you can establish new relationships by joining the international associations that are available to you. And we need to get to know you. So you can use the mechanisms, the tools, and the resources so that we can see who you are and what's happening in dietetics in your country. So you could put your profile. If you join the international community, you would have your profile on the website, and every other association can read about what's happening in Romania. That'd be great. And from articles that you submit twice a year, someone could do this, to keep us informed about the advancements of dietetics in Romania, because you know what? Someone else is going to hear you're doing this and they're doing it, and they're going to want to connect at a more meaningful level to talk about how you're doing it, how they're doing it, learn from each other. And of course, you can join in discussion with dietitians from around the world by participating in the International Congress of Dietetics, or by joining various work groups that are appointed on specific subjects, and I touched on those earlier this week, so I won't review them right now. So again, your plan can take many forms, and it should be specific to your goals: personal, professional, institutional. We talked about those. And those plans and goals will determine the benefits that flow from your long-term, mutually beneficial relationships. And we look forward to developing a lasting relationship with you, and are happy to answer the question, how can we help you? And through dialogue, we hope to understand some of the answers to that question. So thank you.